In the world of Hollywood, movies get greenlit and redlit. They get remade and rebooted. But we are the ideal. I'm Sam Gasch, and you are listening to Ideal Remake. Thank you for listening to Ideal Remake. We take movies that either have been, will be, or should be remade and talk about what the ideal version of that remake would be. Today we're discussing Treasure Planet, which was just our lifelong obsession, but hey, we'll get over it. And my guest, who has the makings of greatness in him, is Matthew Barnette. Now, Matthew, is Treasure Planet a movie that has been, will be, or should be remade?
Well, I mean, it definitely has been made. Should it be remade? I think it could benefit from the remake treatment, for sure. I think enough people missed out on this treasure that we can come back around.
Pun intended?
Absolutely, always. Always
Good.
Pun intended.
All right, wonderful. I actually agree, which is why I initially reached out, because Disney's remaking so many live-action movies that, wouldn't this just be an amazing, really good, high-end live-action remake?
They're remaking movies that no one asked to be remade. It would be nice for a change for someone to actually be like, hey, could you remake this, please? And I think Treasure Planet qualifies for that treatment.
Did you see the news this week? There's rumblings that they're going to remake Black Cauldron.
Oh, wow. As a live action?
As one of their live action things.
Okay.
And that is a bold choice.
I mean, let's just hope that Benioff and Weiss don't get attached to it.
I don't want them to do any more things anymore.
Well, we'll see what happens, I guess.
Yeah. Anyway, so tell me a little bit about yourself so that the audience knows who you are.
Well, my name is Matthew. We've established that. I'm a writer by day and a writer by night. I work in the film marketing industry with Disney, Fox, Sony. Basically, everybody at this point, because it's all kind of being gobbled up and slammed together.
Yep.
And then that's my day job. By night, I work on a lot of original pilots, pitches, that sort of thing. Really want to work regularly in TV someday, making, strides here and there. But, that's the dream. TV.
It's a good dream. It is a dream that I also share. So, do you remember the first time you saw Treasure Planet?
I was thinking about this the other day. I'm pretty sure I saw it in theaters when it came out. And I'm not sure what year that was. But I do remember, sitting through it and being like, this is amazing. I can't wait to talk to everyone back at school about this. And then no one knew anything about it.
Yeah. I mean, you sent me that video that I did watch. About kind of how Disney killed Treasure Planet just by failing to market it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm on the Treasure Planet IMDb Pro page right now. Do you happen to know the budget for Treasure Planet?
I think I heard somewhere that it started off at a smaller number and then it sort of ballooned. So their actual budget, is that for animation and marketing? Total?
No. Marketing isn't normally included in that number.
Let's see. I would go with, let's try 40 million?
That is one of the numbers that's involved.
Okay.
It's $140 million.
$140 million.
Which is ridiculously expensive, especially for the time. But the video that you sent me was talking about how there's 3 levels of animation. Mm-hmm. There's the 2D, the 3D, and the deep.
Oh, yeah, the deep focus or
deep
something,
focus,
I believe?
Whatever it is.
Yeah, so there's the traditional two-dimensional animation that you see with a lot of the characters. Then there's the 3D elements like Silver's arms, legs, some of the ships. And then, there's this 3D deep focus, which, according to that video, I think it was Treasure Planet, world. Disney's biggest mistake, was the entire ship that they're on is an effect.
Yeah.
And it has its own, I guess... They also use this in Tarzan for a lot of the jungle surfing sequences.
And I love it because it's just more further progression in animation. It creates a world and allows us to travel through the world instead of just having kind of that matte background that repeats as Bugs Bunny runs away from Elmer Fudd.
Mm-hmm. It gives you a really cinematic live action kind of camera, which I think up until that point wasn't really possible.
Right.
I mean, you look at Japanese anime, and they do it all the time in a lot of their opening sequences, or with what are called animation bumps for a really big fight. You'll see some really crazy movement, but in Western animation, I think it's a little bit rarer.
I am in the process of watching Neon Genesis
Evangelion
for the first time.
I've never actually watched it. It's on the lengthy list of things that I need to get to.
I needed a show that was just a little bit popcorny, and I knew it was on Netflix, but I didn't know for how long. I'm all right.
They're going to say something light, and that's exactly the opposite of what I've heard about Evangelion. I think it's pretty heady.
It's still an anime cartoon, so it's okay. It's light as opposed to sitting down to watch, I don't know, Handmaid's Tale.
Ooh, yeah, I hear you there.
It's escapist in terms of light.
And actually, escapism is definitely my wheelhouse, which is why like movies like Treasure Planet like really resonated with me.
Yeah, I also feel like I must have seen it in theaters, because I definitely saw it when I was young. I mean, it came out in 2002, so I was already like 8th grade.
I remember the movie. I remember the Happy Meal toy as well. I think I had a Jim Hawkins on a Solar Surfer at some point.
I don't remember that at all.
It may have been a Burger King toy. I don't know. But this is also the same school of like Atlantis: The Lost Empire. Like,
yeah.
I remember going to see that when I was a kid and also being like the only kid
I
in my
remember
class to see it.
really liking that one too. I feel like Treasure Planet holds up better than Atlantis.
Probably.
But like just sitting down and rewatching this movie, I still like it.
No, it's fantastic. My roommate sat down with me and watched it, and he hadn't seen it, I think, since it had originally come out. And when we were done, he's like, that was a really, really good movie. I should definitely... He's a big Disney fan. He's like, I should definitely get that for the DVD collection. Like, I don't have Treasure Planet, and I don't know why I don't have it. And I'm like, well, probably because you forgot about it, because it just blew right past you when it came out in theaters.
I mean, I have a poster of Disney movies, and it ends at Mulan, so it doesn't even make it to Treasure Planet. But, like, who knows if this movie would even be on there? But it's so good.
It benefits from having, like, two great directors behind it, Musker and Clements, but it also benefits from having some pretty solid source material.
It does.
That was my first exposure to, like, the Treasure Island. Well, no, that's untrue. I'm pretty sure I watched Muppet Treasure Island. That was my first exposure.
I didn't see that until like a couple years ago. So
What'd you think?
I saw Treasure Planet first. Muppet Treasure Island is fun, but it's again a movie I didn't see as a kid.
Yeah.
So it doesn't hold that special place in my heart, but it was still super fun. And of course Tim Curry's in it, so what's not to love?
Oh god, Tim Curry's the greatest. Voice acting, just being Tim Curry is also wonderful.
It was really fun to go back to this, but getting back to what I said first, so if the budget was $140 million, what do you think a good opening weekend would have been?
For a movie like that, I mean, it would be nice if you were at least halfway.
Yeah.
That would be wishful thinking, I think, though, in this case.
Opening weekend was $12 million.
See, that's what we call not a great opening weekend.
It is not. And in fact, the worldwide gross... Because the gross in just U.S. and Canada was $38 million.
Okay.
And then worldwide gross was $110 million.
And see, that's about breaking even. But when you have a movie like this...
$30 million less than breaking even, and we haven't even gotten into marketing.
I'm just saying, with an opening like that, including global, and like that's several weeks out, breaking even's not good enough. When you have that big of an investment, you're hoping for at least double that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that didn't happen.
No, but... So this video, the Treasure Planet, Disney's Greatest Mistake, talks about how just like this movie wasn't really marketed all that well.
It's almost like they put it out there to die.
Yeah, which we're not going to dwell on this YouTube video for that long, but if you're interested in watching it, it's like a half hour long, and it's super interesting and it's really good.
It's a great YouTube deep dive.
Yes.
And the author of the video is also very open about, hey, this is a little tinfoil hatty.
Yeah.
We don't really have an answer for a lot of these questions, but isn't it weird that it wasn't marketed in certain ways and in certain places?
The one thing that he talked about that I had heard previously was how much Ron Clements and John Musker had been wanting to make this movie for like 12 years, and Disney kept saying no.
I think once a year they would come in and be like, can we make it now?
Make this now?
Can we make it now? How about now? No.
And then finally they gave the ultimatum of, we will make this movie for you if we can make Treasure Planet. And Disney was like, fine. And then killed it.
Yep.
Which is so sad, because this could have been amazing. And because this YouTube video talks about how there is a script for a sequel.
Script and storyboards, apparently.
I would love to read that.
I would also have settled for a direct-to-DVD sequel, which seemed to be a very popular thing at the time.
Right. Although I imagine, like, they make those as cheaply as possible, so I don't know if you could make this and it would be quite as good.
No, it wouldn't be as good visually, but it doesn't make me not want it less.
Yes.
Much like the second season of Firefly, it's out there in some other time stream.
Yeah.
There's a world where we got Treasure Planet 2 and maybe even Treasure Planet 3. And that's the other thing I love about this movie, and we can get into it when we talk about the film itself, but
I want to see Treasure Galaxy.
Exactly. It's not begging for a sequel by the end. It's not doing that cutesy, hey, we'll be back for part 2. But it definitely, I think, like, earned an opportunity.
Yeah. I mean, we'll be honest, like, a sequel would have been bad. Like, even though the video's like, oh, everyone said the script was good. No. This is such a contained, good story that I do think it would have been diminished by a sequel, but I still want to read it.
Well, I think most importantly, it's an amazing world that they put together.
Yeah.
They built this amazing, in-depth world full of colorful characters and species and weird rules, like the Ethereum,
and
like
air and space,
but like weird gravity and like supernovas or like maelstroms, like all that stuff's fantastic. It's a great story engine for all kinds of narratives, and you can just, as a viewer, imagine like, oh, what other stories could be told there. And
Yeah.
that's always the hallmark of like a good franchise.
Just like the depth of the world.
The depth of the world and the fact that the stories can kind of almost tell themselves. Like, I want to know how Silver lost his arm and his leg. I want to see Jim Hawkins go to space school and become a captain. I want to see Doppler and Amelia do that whole family thing while also running a star sail ship.
Absolutely. I want to go to Morph World.
I mean, yeah, we got to meet all the morphs.
So many morphs.
I wonder if it'd be like that Lion King sequel where Timon and you meet all of Timon's like family members. If all maybe Morph's the one that doesn't talk.
1.5.
Yes, Lion King 1.5.
So crazy side note: the sequel to Lion King is about Simba's kid and it's about Scar's kid.
Yes,
and I like that movie.
Kovu and Kiara, right?
Something like that. I don't remember. And I thought that movie was good.
Yeah, I did too.
And then Lion King 1.5 comes out.
Yeah.
And it was not good.
I don't think anyone asked for Lion King 1.5. I think people definitely asked for Lion King 2.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. What's funny is that for whatever reason I was on some family vacation in Europe when that came out, and it was marketed in Europe as just Lion King 3.
Oh, really?
No Lion King 1.5. It was just Lion King 3.
I gotta say, working in the industry, like, the international markets have, like, a lot of particular ways of doing things, and it's because that's their market. That's their home turf. They would know. But still, sometimes from the stateside, you're just like, I don't understand why.
Do you guys not get the
this is how numbers work. Is it metric? Is it a metric thing? If it's a metric thing, I'm sorry. We'll never be able to be on the same page.
I mean, I get it. You don't like mixed fractions.
Sure.
But sure, just call it Lion King 1.5.
It's a weird world, and we're just here in it.
Yeah. Someone was posting the auto translate for that fourth Men in Black movie on my Facebook today, and it was just black man.
I think that was me.
Oh, was you?
It probably was me.
That would be hilarious if it was you, because I didn't see who posted it.
I posted something on Twitter about that. I was on a Chinese YouTube site looking for some animation, and then I saw that they were posting the new Men in Black International, but it was Black Man International Searcher starring Hammer Guy and Valkyrie, and I'm like, hey, I love Hammer Guy just as much as the next person.
It was definitely you. That's great. I love that. So then, with that in mind, as we're remaking this movie, what do you change? What do you keep the same?
Well, that's a good question. And I should have a better answer considering I knew that I was going to be coming here to talk about remaking a movie. I think the overall, thrust of the adventure is perfect because, it was a great book. It's been a bunch of great adaptations. What I think was cool about Musker and Clemens this time was they really dug into the characters and helped ground them more.
Yeah.
So a lot of that legwork's already been done. So it would be pretty much like building off of, what the animated movie already did, and then just kind of building out from there. Like, what are some other things you'd like to see? Maybe some more world building. Maybe a little bit more into the other characters' backstories, perhaps. Yes. Like I said, I'd be a sucker to know more about Silver and, how he got to where he was.
Yeah. I don't necessarily want flashbacks or something, but I would love a little bit more character development. I mean, the movie as it is now is 95 minutes, which is kind of standard for animation. I also like everything that's there. I even like Ben, which apparently people don't like, but I thought Ben was super fun.
Ben can be problematic depending on, he's not for everybody.
No.
He's a lot.
Yes. I like that he doesn't show up until the end.
Sure.
If he'd been throughout the movie, it would have been a problem. But because it's all of a sudden we get to the end and tensions are high.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you get this crazy comedic dude who doesn't understand what's going on. I think that timing works really well. Especially as it's tied into, I don't remember the name of the big bad original space pirate guy.
Flint? Captain Flint?
Captain Flint.
I would love to see more of him because I love him in the opening sequence. He's got a great design. He seems like a real bastard.
Yes.
And in that movie, that would be really interesting to see. Because Silver is rough around the edges, but he's still a pretty good guy.
Right.
The worst person in that movie is that weird spider guy.
That's the thing. So what I would want is I would give the movie another 10 minutes, maybe 15, to just we get to know these characters a little bit more. I want to know I want to know Clamps. Clamps. He gives Rock Guy the clamps.
It'd be nice for them to have the great supernova sequence where you see the crew come together and work through a problem. It would be nice to have another island or two.
Yes.
Where you get to see the crew in action.
Just some other side quest.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so we get to know the crew, we get to know Captain Amelia, we get to know Mr. Arrow. I would have liked to have known Mr. Arrow a little bit more so that his death is a little bit more tragic.
True.
Because he gets sucked into a black hole. That's pretty bad.
Yeah, what happens to Mr. Arrow when he gets sucked in the black hole? Is it the end of Mr. Arrow? Is he sent somewhere else?
I assume that's the end of Mr.
Would
Arrow.
Mr. Arrow come in as like a dual protagonist in 2?
Mr. Diamond.
I mean, it's the time warp, so he gets compressed and he turns into Mr. Diamond. I love that. That's great.
He just gets compressed and his molecules shift. Turns out Mr. Arrow is Morph.
Could be. It could be he's that Diamond character from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. He becomes he becomes a space pirate. He gets disillusioned with the above board sea life.
I do like the idea that he gets compressed, like only he could have survived it because he's made out of rock, and he just gets turned to diamond.
He got compressed, like not depressed. Yeah, I could dig it. Times Arrow.
Yeah. That would be cool though, but like stuff like that. I mean, so we like the movie as it is, so let's design the extra side quest. What's that extra side quest you'd have them do?
I think it'd be the extra side quest would be interesting. What would it be? I mean, it would be another opportunity for them to kind of show their true colors. It would force the crew to kind of pretend to be good for a little bit. Maybe like put Silver in another like kind of moral dilemma. Like, is this going to deviate you from Treasure Planet? You're so obsessed with it, but you also don't want to raise suspicions.
Yes.
So some sort of maybe mercy mission, or even Doppler notices some brand new species.
My pitch is because we get this really cool map, but we don't use it that much.
True.
So
some more landmarks, maybe.
What I would say is that they get to a point in the map where they can either go one way or they can go another. I know it's space and like there it is, let's go that way. But theoretically, there's something in the map that's implying like because they have to get around a nebula or some other bad thing, and they can go up or they can go down, and they choose the wrong way, and something bad goes down over there, like the asteroid in Star Wars where they end up in the worm's mouth.
Yeah, it made a bad situation frying pan into the fire. It's a bad situation made worse.
Right, and they then have to backtrack and go the right way.
That could work. I would also say if there's another. The map sort of gives you the gist of where Treasure Planet is, but you need to orient in the middle of it. So you have to go to this one landmark, this one celestial landmark, solve some sort of puzzle, and that points the way to Treasure Planet.
Yes, something like that. That could be really
neat. It would be another opportunity for Jim to show how smart he is. Maybe Silver to like pull that greatness out of him a little bit when he's doubting himself.
And I'd love it if it was an opportunity like we didn't know, like Jim hadn't discovered Silver yet, and it was an opportunity for Silver to attempt to steal the map. Like he sees, oh, that's the map. That's what I need to get, and he tries to steal it, but somehow it doesn't work. And that's when the crew like starts seeing the cracks in Silver's facade. Something like that.
That could work. I would say that some sort of weird species
we definitely
or
need
celestial
weird
event.
Species.
I'm just remembering bits and pieces of Master and Commander at the Edge of the World.
Okay.
Just more of those sorts of like random bits where you're at the edge of civilization, you don't really know what's out there. I think Doppler would be really curious about like there was a little bit of that. There's also the concept of like sirens, like in the Odyssey.
That's true.
So some more dangers for them to deal with. Space sirens could be really cool. Another pirate ship maybe trying to get the jump on them.
That also, another pirate ship's really good.
That would be a great like false bad guy if they're constantly being like tailed by some other group and they're trying to like race them to Treasure Planet. And
there's some other cyborg. Like maybe that's the cyborg that Jim thinks he was.
Could be another cyborg, or it could be you realize, that's actually Silver's ship. He wanted them pressuring the hero ship,
also
and to put the scent off of him, maybe.
Yeah, I love the idea of another pirate ship. I would absolutely have that.
Well, that's what was great about Pirates of the Caribbean was that you had Jack Sparrow, but you had Barbossa, who was an equally great but different kind of captain. And you also had the British commander coming in as well, Norrington, with all of his prim and proper soldiers. So it was like these great... I always love it when there's factions at play.
Yeah.
And it's already sort of at play here between Silver's group and Jim's hero group, but, you can always go with more.
I'm a fan. I think that's a good idea, and I think that's a good idea for our side quest.
There's a lot of good options, I think.
Yeah, I mean...
We can workshop it.
I'm not saying that we're not going to turn this into an RPG, but I would be down to turn this into an RPG.
Oh, absolutely. This world is so dense with so many cool ideas. I mean, just hanging out in Montresor, a crescent moon spaceport, that would be all... It's like the Citadel in Mass Effect. Like, I would just stay there the whole time, get into bar fights, have drinks, meet sailors. It's
Miyazaki-level world building in the sense that they have so much there that we kind of have to throw some of it away in favor of the actual story that we have to deal with.
I mean, Montresor itself, there's just so many other ships that we could go with and follow into the Ethereum. So many other adventures.
How did Doppler... because Captain Amelia says... I don't trust this crew you hired. I want to see Doppler hire the crew. How did he end up picking them? And how did Long John Silver know this is the crew going after Treasure Planet? This is the one we have to get on.
Even more so, like Billy Bones escaping Silver, I think would be a really interesting scene too. The turtle with the map in the first place. He's obviously was part of Silver's crew or was a competitor, and they got the jump on him, and then he got in his little escape pod, made it to the Bimbo Inn. Like, I want to see like that escape. I think that'd be a really cool
Bimbo Inn?
Benbow?
It's okay. That makes more sense. I didn't pay attention to what the name of the inn was, but Bimbo Inn seemed wrong.
Benbow. I think it's B-E-N-B-O. I can look. I have the internet.
I'm willing to believe it's the Bimbo Inn.
The Admiral Benbow Inn in Treasure Island. I think in Treasure Planet they just shorten it to the Benbow. B-E-N-B-O-W.
Huh.
Listeners, my mouth gets very lazy sometimes, and I'll just say silly things that make no sense.
The one thing I don't want to put into this movie is I do not want to add more things with Jim's dad.
Jim's dad's the worst.
Right, but I think we have exactly enough to kind of like understand the background, and we don't need more.
No, you don't need more terrible dad times.
Right.
You need more Jim and Silver times.
The crazy thing is that when I saw this movie the first time when I was a kid, I thought we got to the end of the movie, and the movie implied that Long John Silver was his dad.
I thought it implied that Long John Silver had ascended and become a cloud.
I mean, that too.
That was what I was more concerned with was, wait, he was a cloud the whole time?
I mean, we don't know all of their crazy alien powers.
True, I don't even know what species Silver is. Maybe he could have been a cloud the entire time. Maybe the true treasure was Cloud Ship.
Yeah, and if I'm to quote the Disney Channel original movie I saw as a kid, that means he fears the wind.
Oh, that's wise words.
Yes.
Wise words.
In that movie, they're living bubbles. Anyway.
That's a remake for another time.
At some point, I need to talk about a DCOM, but I don't know which one.
I mean, there's so many good ones. There's Xenon Girl of the 21st Century. There's Brink.
Luck of the Irish.
Luck of the Irish, 13th Year.
Yeah.
Smart House.
I own Smart House on DVD. That's the one I would kind of lean towards.
Punks was also a good one.
I don't remember that one.
That one, I think it was a DCOM. It was very strange. There was an era where there was also, I think, knockoff
Halloween
DCOMs.
Town.
Halloween Town, Halloween Town 2, Calabar's Revenge.
Yep.
We don't need to talk about the other Halloween towns. Those are the only two that actually matter.
That is correct.
Yeah, so many options.
Yeah.
I think a DCOM... Oh, Cheetah Girls.
Any one of the various things with talking horses. I don't know. Was Cheetah Girls technically a DCOM?
I don't know. At some point, they sort of eased out and became things like The Descendants, which were their own.
Motocrossed.
Motocrossed was very good.
Motocrossed was very good.
Very ahead of its time.
Yes.
I feel like there's something obvious that I'm missing. There was the Famous Jet Jackson movie. Yeah. Which was also cool.
Famous Jet Jackson was so good.
Oh, Famous Jet Jackson was also so weird also. We can go down this rabbit hole if you want.
We could, but maybe for another time. But there is some other Disney things that, they have all this IP that they're, not using. The fact that I own Smart House on DVD, I consider a fluke, because it's a real DVD.
Okay.
That I got from, the Disney Channel Movie Rewards, something.
Mm-hmm. You turned in those points and got a...
Yeah.
Wow.
And now I feel like it's literally money on the table. People would buy this, and they're not selling it. And the fact that Disney Channel is leaving money on the table or that Disney in general is leaving money on the table is wild to me.
Well, that's what actually excites me about Disney Plus is the opportunity to kind of dive into some of these lower tier concepts and really kind of see what they can do.
Yeah, I agree. I just don't want them to own all of Hollywood.
No, I mean,
welcome to Disney.
What a time to be alive.
Yes, it is a story for us to tell our robots.
I, for one, welcome our robot overlords.
Yes.
I do not want the robots to take my job. I will keep doing my job instead.
I mean, I've read some of those robot scripts. They're not good.
No, they're not. But don't tell them I said that.
No, because we welcome them.
1001011101.
Just back in time.
Back.
Yeah, okay. I mean, as far as the movie's concerned, the problem is that we like this movie as it is, and we don't necessarily have all that much we want to change.
I'll be honest with you. There was a version of this recast that was just the same cast, because they're so great across the board.
Yeah, but I mean, if we're doing live action...
Still, some of them work surprisingly well.
Oh, yeah?
I think David Hyde Pierce as a dog doctor with our level of CG now would be pretty great.
He probably would.
I mean, Emma Thompson is untouchable.
That's also true.
So... But don't worry, I put the work in. I figured it out. Yeah. But there was a bit there was an evening where I'm like, man, you know what?
Some of these people would still be good.
These would
Every
still
once
be great.
in a while, I'll throw in those, kind of tribute to the original.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that a little bit here, because I normally, like, we'll do writer, we'll do director, but this time I added producers because Ron Clements and John Musker should still be involved in this movie. I mean, this movie is their baby.
They had that baby for 12 years.
Yeah. And they worked on it, and it shows. It's a good movie.
And they're also just really solid filmmakers. I mean, they've also adapted from 2D to 3D. Moana was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, you'd think, oh, okay, they're Little Mermaid, they're living in the past, whatever. Like, they had their heyday. Mm-hmm. But then if they turn around and make Moana and have such love for Mad Max Fury Road, which they do.
Because they're human beings with blood in their veins
yes.
and imagination in their hearts.
And their tribute to Mad Max Fury Road in Moana is so good.
Mm-hmm.
I need to rewatch Moana and Mad Max.
Don't do it at the same time. There's a lot of water in one and a lot of desert in the other, and it's just going to get a little... You might get some whiplash.
I just watched, speaking of YouTube, I just watched this YouTube video talking about, like, the guitar player in Mad Max and how that was a working guitar. Like, he was actually playing. Mm-hmm. It's just great.
While make-upped up and hooked to bungees and...
Yeah, blind.
Flamethrowers.
Because the thing was covering his face.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
He's like was it the Doomfighter? He had some weird... everyone in that movie has like a crazy name.
And God bless him.
God bless every one of them.
Yeah. So then let's just talk about cast.
Oh, I mean, cast away.
Let's. Do we want to start with Jim? I feel like that's the place to start.
I mean, it should be because I mean, Jim is the corner upon which this entire tale turns.
Yes. And because this movie was kind of like conceived late 80s and then finally came out in 2002, Jim Hawkins, as he exists right now, kind of has a lot of 90s energy.
Sure.
Like 90s heartthrob energy, which is kind of the casting that I went with. Mm-hmm. It certainly does not need to be who we go with, but I went with another current young star who also has a lot of 90s energy.
Okay, let's hear it.
And his name is Kian Johnson.
Kian Johnson.
You may know him from TV shows like Euphoria. You also might recognize him from movies like Alita Battle Angel.
Okay. Wait, was he the love interest in
Yes,
Alita?
he was.
See, the minute I saw him, I'm like, what Disney Channel original movie am I in?
Exactly, and that's why I cast him.
Wow, that is some 90s energy. That's, okay, I dig it. I like that you softened me up with the justification, because if you had opened up with, hey, it's the annoying guy from Alita Battle Angel, I would have been very upset with you.
Remember that with that dude who fell in love with the girl in the 12-year-old body?
And also was just the worst.
Yeah.
She saved his life, and then he just kept getting his limbs cut off. He didn't know what he got until it was gone.
And then he just, like, went to go stop his friend from doing a thing for some reason.
Alita Battle Angel has its moments, but it's also very problematic.
I legitimately enjoyed the movie, but it's not good.
No, it's very bad.
Yeah.
Very bad.
So bad. But I saw it for the first time, like, last week, so it's fresh in my brain.
I went with a little bit something different.
Okay, tell me
I went with the gender flipped casting of Jim Hawkins.
I was hoping you might.
So I went with Zendaya.
Also in Euphoria, and Zendaya is great. I would 100% watch.
She's got that chip on her shoulder, but she's also super vulnerable when she needs to be. She's got that chip because she's got that like golden mushy center inside.
Yeah.
And that's something I think is really integral to Jim is that, he's not a bad egg. He's just had a rough go of it. And he's built a bit of a wall around himself. And I think Jane Hawkins would probably do the same thing.
I agree, and I was really hoping you would do a gender swap. And I think Zendaya is excellent casting for Jane Hawkins. Great. That's wonderful. So then let's talk about her mother. Let's talk about Sarah Hawkins.
Ooh, interesting. I was curious how deep into the casting we were going to go. So I might just have to riff off of yours.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 characters plus the writer-director.
Okay.
Writer and director.
Interesting. I'm going to have to wing it.
Yeah, all right. So then we'll go back and forth between people you have and people you don't. My Sarah Hawkins is Juliette Lewis.
Juliette Lewis.
So From Dusk to Dawn, Natural Born Killers, The Wonder Years. Mm-hmm. She's had a longer career. She kind of fits as a good mom for my casting, but there's no reason why she wouldn't work for Zendaya. Mm-hmm. She's kind of just like, look her up.
Yeah.
She's kind of like the confident mom.
She's got that cool mom energy. I think my roommate was saying that the mom in Treasure Planet is Andy's mom from Toy Story.
Oh, that's the actress?
I think it's the voice actress is what he was saying. He could be wrong, but he's got a pretty good ear for these sorts of things.
I would believe that. Let me find out. It's Laurie Metcalf from, Lady Bird. And she is indeed Andy's mom.
Well done, Anthony.
Well done, Anthony.
Great mom voice. Great, very supportive mom.
Yeah, and also, she's Is she Sheldon's mom in The Big Bang Theory? She's Mary Cooper, and he's Sheldon Cooper, right?
Uh-huh. So is that in the Young Sheldon?
No, they did a different cast in Young Sheldon because they cast someone.
Gotcha. You're someone who's never really watched The Big Bang Theory, so...
I watched the first few seasons, and then I was like, I can't deal with this anymore. Laurie Metcalf had a really good career.
Mm-hmm.
She's doing great.
That's a pretty solid choice.
Juliette Lewis?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. I'm happy to go with that.
Mm-hmm.
Good, cool mom energy.
Yeah.
So then the next person in my list is I went kind of in order of appearance, and I went Dr. Doppler.
Okay. I do have someone for that, because Dr. Doppler's great. And like I said, David Hyde Pierce is fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead. Who'd you have for Dr. Doppler?
So I had two, but if you're going to make me pick one, I would probably go with John Oliver as Dr. Doppler.
John Oliver would be a good Dr. Doppler.
He's got that nervous energy, and like he's got that like Britishness that isn't all over this movie, but could be used very well, I think, in this case. He's also an expert in his field, but also a master of nothing else.
Correct.
Which I think Oliver can pull off very well.
I think John Oliver doing his impression of John Oliver would be exactly the kind of...
There's a lot of this.
Yeah, just a lot of flailing. Like, he can do stuff. Like, he's not dumb, but he's inept.
No, the minute you get into, like, how the U.S. prison system is totally flawed, and he'll break everything down for you for, like, 20 minutes. It's everything surrounding that's all flailing.
Right. Like, he will tell you why this route is really good and why the people he hired are amazing. He will tell you why this is a great idea and why he's so excited to go, and then he'll hire a bunch of pirates.
He'll also tell you, like, he'll truly believe in Zendaya, but he'll also be totally wrong most of the time.
Yes. My Dr. Doppler is Tony Shalhoub.
Tony Shalhoub.
From, Monk, Men in Black, Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
13 Ghosts.
And 13 Ghosts.
Yeah, that remake.
I don't know.
He's the dad in that. It's do you know the premise of that film?
I do not.
A bunch of people are invited to this super ultra modern house and given these goggles that allow them to see ghosts. And they're all killed off one by one because each ghost is a different member of like the Dark Zodiac. And the actual owner, Tony Shalhoub's like uncle, wanted to have some blood sacrifices to bring himself back from the dead.
Oh wow.
It's a whole thing.
Yeah. Sounds fine.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Anyways.
But the reason I picked Tony Shalhoub is because Dr. Doppler kind of has a character arc in his own right.
He does. It's a small one, but it's very important.
Kind of starts inept and like not confident at all, and kind of like builds his confidence throughout the movie to the point where like he's piloting the ship and like doing shit and hitting people, like actually having a good shot with a gun.
I think also in our remake, at some point he's got like totally torn up, but has like an enormous laser blaster and is he has everyone dead to rights.
Yeah, like give him the gun from Men in Black now.
Yes, this is his gun now. I'm the captain now. Yeah. No, you're not the captain. Oh, I'm almost the captain now.
I've been around a captain now.
Mm-hmm. I'm maybe sleeping with the captain.
It's we're keeping it open. Doesn't matter.
Strongly implied, but we don't like labels.
That's true.
I'm a dog. She's a cat.
Yeah, I mean it's strongly implied later.
Absolutely. I mean it's not implied. It's
confirmed.
There's evidence.
Yes.
It is called a family.
Yeah.
A litter.
I think that tracks.
Yeah.
But so that's part of the reason why I went with Tony Shalhoub, just because like we kind of get that like transition. Mm-hmm. It's not all bumbling. It's also
there's a cunning to Mr. Shalhoub.
Yeah.
By the end there.
The only problem I have with Tony Shalhoub is that he might be a little bit too old.
Oh, maybe.
Which is why I kind of cast around the same age for Captain Amelia.
Okay.
But I'm perfectly happy to go with John Oliver. If you really like John Oliver, I'm not opposed to that at all.
I think the thing about John Oliver is he's got that... Shalhoub is fantastic, but their like energy levels are a little different.
Yeah.
And I think like John Oliver has got that manic, I can't believe this is happening, everything is terrible. Oh, wait, I'm the captain now? Kind of energy that I would personally go for. He also would look great in all of Dr. Doppler's wardrobe, especially that crazy, janky, old-timey spacesuit.
I want that so bad. Yes. Okay, good. John Oliver. That said, I haven't seen the new Lion King, so I don't know how well he did, but I assume good.
He played a bird.
Yeah.
We're going to have him play a dog this time.
Yeah. It's in his wheelhouse.
Absolutely.
Which brings me to... Oh, I guess we meet other people too.
We do.
But that brings me to Long John Silver.
Okay.
Now, for me, there was really only one casting choice for someone who spent his entire life pursuing something. Just kind of like this gruff, big guy, but also like a heart of gold, and you just want a hug.
Yep.
So John Goodman.
John Goodman's a very good choice.
Is that not who you had?
I went with David Harbour.
Who's David Harbour?
Stranger Things, the sheriff.
I'm not. I haven't seen Stranger Things.
Oh, man. David Harbour's the best. He was most recently also in the terrible new Hellboy.
Oh, no.
But he's definitely this sort of like, got this gruff dad energy, but also part of his journey in Stranger Things is being kind of a loner, kind of a bachelor forever, and then kind of inheriting a kid and becoming their parent, their surrogate parent in a lot of ways.
Interesting.
He's got like this vulnerability to him at times, but he's also like the sheriff of this town where things are going terribly wrong, so it's all, Mondays are for coffee and contemplation kind of thing going.
Interesting.
But John Goodman is great.
I mean, if he wasn't known for Hellboy and Suicide Squad...
David Harbour was in Suicide Squad?
Apparently.
Who were you in Suicide Squad? I'm so sorry.
Dexter Tolliver, and I don't know who that is.
Oh, he's like one of the like federal agents.
Okay.
That's in there for like 2 seconds.
Whatever. But like his track record for action movies is not.
No, I'm gonna send you some Stranger Things clips at some point.
I'm sure he's great. Here's the thing. Stranger Things feels like a TV show that I would really, really like, but I have an incredibly hard time watching anything horror or horror adjacent.
I'm not a big horror guy. I love Stranger Things.
And I've talked about this on the podcast, so I'm not going to go into it again, but as much as I would love to watch that show, I unfortunately just can't.
I'm going to send you some fun clips, some fun horror adjacent clips of Sheriff Hopper doing his dad thing.
All right, I'm sure he's great.
That being said, I would love John Goodman.
Yeah.
He's already played an eye patch character in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, right?
Yeah, and
he plays a Cyclops.
And just like, I kind of feel like the Barton Fink John Goodman, where he's just like so jovial and great, and then it just turns.
At any moment, yes.
Yeah. And but then like you get later in the movie and you're like, oh, he's kind of an old man.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's like struggling, limping with his peg leg.
Yes, because Jim messes with his equipment by
Jim
stabbing
did a good
him. Jim does good work.
Yeah. I mean, he built a functioning jet surfboard.
Yeah, a solar sailor in like 2 seconds out of like welding torches and some sort of broken cannon.
He did great. But that's kind of why I wanted John Goodman. Just like, it's, great. Oh, man.
But he can turn on a dime, and also that when he turns, he could like crush you in his fists.
John Goodman is both the nicest and the most terrifying actor. Mm-hmm. And I think that works.
Yeah, absolutely. I think John Goodman's a really good call.
And also, I thought it was funny that... Oh, no, that's a different actor. Never mind.
He's also got that lovable, lumpy sort of shape that Silver has, where it's just like...
Although my understanding is he's lost some weight, which is good for him.
Well, no, that's fantastic. It's
Even still, though.
But still, he's got that sort of like... His facial features aren't like that well defined, and that kind of works for that weird sort of design.
Like weird bend his face, because Long John Silver in this is definitely squishy.
He's got some morph to him, to be sure.
Yeah. There's definitely some of that, yes.
He's very huggable. Very huggable.
That brings me to... I don't have Morph until later. I do have someone for Morph.
I don't know who you could cast as Morph, but I'm very excited to find out.
You'll agree when we get... I mean, do you want to talk about Morph now?
Let's do it. I mean, it's Silver's partner in crime.
Yeah.
His own surrogate son, sort of, until he meets Jim.
Right. So I just cast a voice actor.
Okay.
And Morph doesn't really do all that much talking. It's more just like squeals and like burbling and all of that.
Yep.
Which is why I cast the voice from a anime.
Okay.
The voice from Pokemon of Togepi.
Togepi works.
And her name is Satomi Kurogi.
Aw.
Yeah.
She's wonderful.
Yeah.
What a sweet person.
I just thought that would be just a lovely little... Because she can do those kind of voices, the little burbling, and also because it's cute and fun.
No, absolutely. You have no complaints from me on that count.
Wonderful. But then we get to Scroop.
Is he the lobster? Terrible
he's
lobster.
Clamps, yeah.
Clamps.
Spider Clamps.
Spider Clamps.
Spider Clamps. Clamps. Has the clamps. Give him the clamps.
I just didn't even think of an actor. He was such a terrifying visual effect to me that I was like, who's gonna like embody that much like
someone
hatred?
who like crawls around as like weird elbows and knees, and then also just like murders people.
Any of those Monsters from the Ring movies would probably work.
Probably. But I mean like or just someone in just like that weird like CG mocap kind of thing.
Or any of the... Did you watch Game of Thrones?
Oh, yeah.
Any of the whites from, like, that Winterfell battle that were... There was that one really tall guy that was able to, like, contort his body when he was in the library with Arya. He, like, bends down. He's like, really thin, really crazy. But I read that he was, like, not a gymnast, but, like, a very, like, sort of, like, crawly, athletic sort of actor.
Yeah, one of the people who do well on American Ninja Warrior.
Sure.
Like one of the rock climbers.
Who did you pick?
Michelle Rodriguez.
Michelle Rodriguez.
Yes.
That's bold.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
Because she exclusively, like, in her contract, she will only play people who are badass.
Yeah.
And, like, that's it. That's what she does.
I love that gender flip on her.
And she can be good, she can also be bad, or she can be, like, bad. But, like, someone who can kind of, like, be kind of, like, weird and crabby and just dripping with evil.
I would also say Ben Mendelsohn could work.
Yeah.
He's got a good, like, corner of the evil market right now.
Absolutely. But can Ben
Mendelsohn bend? I don't know.
Ben Mendelsohn, who was in...
But when he says things, it's sort of like it's always dripping, much in the same way that Spider Crab Man just has, like, pinchers in his mouth.
Yes. The problem with Ben Mendelsohn is that Ben Mendelsohn... Can I get you another Capri Sun?
Mm-mm. This Capri Sun's great.
Is...
Brought to you by Capri Sun.
It's all inside.
You pulled that? I bet that's what it was.
It was something else. I think that was JCPenney. It's all inside.
But Ben Mendelsohn. What is the problem with my pick for Ben Mendelsohn?
I love Ben Mendelsohn, but Ben Mendelsohn is... We're now in a post-Captain Marvel world.
Sure.
Because Ben Mendelsohn, the guy who's always cast as the villain, now has that movie where they did the parody of the fact that Ben Mendelsohn is always cast as the villain.
Sure.
And now, so if we see him in this, he'd just be the villain again. And also he's...
No one would expect it.
It's true. And also he's 50 years old. Can he, like, do the mocap? I'm sure he can. I'm sure he'd have
Get someone else to do it. He'll just do the facial vocal work.
That's true.
We could also just have, like, a different body actor do it, and he'll just do the
Doom
voice.
Patrol.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, I love Ben Mendelsohn.
I think Michelle Rodriguez is a really good choice, too.
Let's see.
She's the exciting...
What's a way we can have them both?
Who's the character in between?
You know what?
What's that?
You know who Ben Mendelsohn should be?
Who should he be?
What's the name of the original captain? Captain Flint?
Yeah,
Ben Mendelsohn
give him more of a talking role?
Yeah, Ben Mendelsohn should be... It's not Flint Marko, that's someone else.
When he has like it's Nathaniel. That's the thing. He has this crazy alien face, but his name is Nathaniel Flint.
Yeah, which I think is just the name of the pirate from Treasure Island.
Probably, but still, like, that face does not scream a Nathaniel, though. I mean, that's not a Nathaniel.
No, it does not. That is a monster.
That is a Ben Mendelsohn face.
That is a Ben Mendelsohn. That would be perfect.
That's great. I think we can have our cake and eat it, too. I think Michelle Rodriguez can be this really terrible, horrible, no good, very bad spider lobster. And Ben Mendelsohn can be the very savvy captain who, maybe in our remake of the third act, comes back as a hologram or something to mess with our heroes before the whole place blows up.
Yeah, I love the idea of Captain Flint showing up as, like, you found my treasure, but what he's doing is killing time.
Yes.
While the planet's about to explode.
Oh, no, I'm just distracting you.
Yeah, literally he becomes his own distraction, and then as the planet's exploding, he just, like, laughs and laughs and laughs because he knows that that's what's happening.
He just becomes the Wizard of Oz head, just laughing and the flames burn. Or that's a little bit like Inglourious Bastards, as the theater goes up in flames.
Which, I have feelings about that movie.
That movie was marketed as a different movie.
Yeah.
And it's rough.
Yeah.
It's a good film, though.
I'm not a big Tarantino fan.
Another podcast.
Yeah, I just, the whole...
Is it the feet? Because the feet thing is very weird as well.
It's a little weird. It's more just like, I don't necessarily enjoy just his whole social catharsis through massive violence thing, and that's literally what
we should talk about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, because I think it sort of upends that a little bit.
Yeah, but I'm not going to spend 3 hours on a movie I'm probably not going to like.
That's fair.
But I would watch it. I'd be willing to
give it a shot. You know what I'd spend 3 hours doing? Watching Treasure Planets 1, 2, and 3.
I would for sure do that.
That would be a great marathon.
What a good time that would be.
Who would you cast as Captain Amelia? That's what I want to know.
That's what I've got next. My Captain Amelia is Michelle Yeoh.
Michelle Yeoh is very good because she's also very good on Star Trek Discovery.
Yes. And also in Tomorrow Never Dies, and in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. And
but as a captain, though,
Asians.
like, I've seen her play a captain in Star Trek. She plays she's the, what is her... Basically, in the first 2 episodes, she's the captain of a starship.
I'm not sure I knew that, because I haven't seen Star Trek Discovery.
Are you going to watch it at some point?
I would, but you feel free to spoil away. I won't remember.
So she's the captain of a starship, and basically, there's a mutiny, and she kind of talks everyone down, goes over to the other alien ship, and gets murdered. And then is gone for most of the rest of the season. She's like but she was the main character, Michael Burnham's, like, inspiration, so she hasn't gotten over her. But then they get to the mirror universe, and she's alive there, but she's like an empress of all evil, because it's a flip-flop mirror universe. So they have
Goatee's whole thing.
Basically. But they have to deal with a captain who's just as smart and just as eloquent, but, like, totally batshit evil.
That's amazing.
And it's Michelle Yeoh.
I would watch the shit out of it.
So, like, I was so upset when they killed her in episode 2, and then when I heard she came back, like, in episode 10, I was
As
like...
a villain?
I was like, amazing!
Yeah.
And I've also heard that she basically comes from the Mirror Universe, comes to our universe, and then starts up... The rumor is that there's going to be a show about the dark side of Starfleet, and that she, like, heads it up. That's what the internet's telling me, at least.
I like it. I'm on board for that.
Evil Michelle Yeoh.
Yeah. Who'd you have for Captain Amelia?
So, I think Emma Thompson would also be... still be fantastic.
I would also, for sure, go with Emma Thompson.
But I kept it in the family, sort of, and went with Tessa Thompson.
Oh.
As Captain Amelia.
That'd be great.
We've heard her do a really interesting British accent in Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
And also, she's got that sort of, like, cat-like, sort of, like, playfulness and, like, penchant to either, like, help you out or knock something off of a cabinet. Like, you don't really know.
The only reason why I wouldn't...
I also saw this amazing picture. So I have that picture of Captain Amelia with that tri-corner hat, and then I have this picture of Tessa Thompson with this amazing hair from this premiere.
I mean, that's great. I can now see who your Ben is, but, like...
Oh, I have multiple. We're gonna have to figure Ben out.
That's tough. I thought about one of those. Anyway, that's a really good choice. So, John Oliver is 42 years old.
Yes, I get that. Also, they're probably going to be digital characters, would be the only weird thing.
Here's the thing. Tessa Thompson's 35.
Yeah.
That's only 7 years.
It's not a huge gap.
That's not as bad as I thought it might be.
Sure.
Because my parents are 6 years apart.
But that's also a Hollywood trope, though. Like, we just had it in, what was it? Hobbs and Shaw. It was weird that, like, his attractive sister is, like, so much younger.
But that's a trope I try to avoid.
Absolutely. I'm saying, like, that would be why that could be a problem if they were further apart in age, but... It's not as much in this casting, I don't think.
Right. It's not. Part of the reason I cast Michelle Yeoh is because she's much closer in age to Tony Shalhoub, who was my Dr. Doppler. I'm perfectly happy to go with Tessa Thompson because obviously she would be amazing. Mm-hmm. And she is the king of...
Queen King.
King. She is the king of Asgard.
She is the king of Asgard. Did they give her an actual rank? I know that she's just in charge of it now.
Well, at the Comic-Con announcement, they talk about how she's the king of Asgard.
Okay.
So since she's the king of Asgard, she needs to find her queen.
Perfect. I sit corrected.
Well done. But yeah, so like she clearly can lead and is really good and amazing, and I have nothing against...
I would also say Michelle Yeoh's already been a captain. Let's give Tessa Thompson a shot.
Sold. So who is her right-hand man?
Who's Mr. Arrow?
Who's Mr. Arrow? Who do we have standing by her side, barking orders... Gruff exterior, but lovable inside.
So when I originally made this list, I went with a really funny one. A person who's always been made of The Rock. Dwayne The Rock Johnson, I thought would be a very fun choice.
Yeah, I mean, casting The Rock to play the Rock guy
is a fun joke verbally, but you're also like, it's not quite right. So who did I go with here? I have pictures, and then I didn't actually pull up names.
So you're like, oh god, who's this person? What's this person's name?
I went with Brendan Gleeson.
Brendan Gleeson?
Mm-hmm.
Why can't I think of who that is?
Mad Eye Moody?
Oh. Ooh, that's really good.
Because it would really hurt when you lose him, too. Like,
Yeah.
he won't let, like, anything get past him. He'd run a tight ship, but he also has that penchant for comedy every once in a while.
And he's got the heart of gold.
Yeah, but he'd also make he's got a very craggly face, which I think would translate well into this CG. A lot of these characters are going to be made of CG, I'm
Yes,
convinced.
of course. Yeah, like, it's live action in the same way that Lion King's live action. But it's actually, no. It's live action in the way Jungle Book's live action. A couple of real people in mostly a CG world.
That's a rock with a heart of gold.
It really is. And I think that's really good. So I focused a little bit more on the heart of gold. Mm-hmm. And I also focused on someone that would be absolutely devastating to lose.
Ooh, don't make this hurt.
But also, like, has kind of that tough exterior. Because it would really hurt to lose Terry Crews.
Oh no, Terry Crews!
And he's a big guy. He can bark orders. He can be really tough.
He's a big dude. I would only count... He does things so comedically, and Mr. Arrow is so, like, straight-laced.
He is. But, I mean, he also is, like... He's been in other things.
He has. I just have... he's been in many things. I always just view him through, like, a comedy slant.
I mean, yeah, that's how I think of him,
The Old Spice commercials.
I mean, he is a very broad, big character. Because
Absolutely.
I think that's his wheelhouse. Mm-hmm. He's also, but that means that he's also very loud, which is basically all Mr. Arrow does is stand and shout.
Well, I will say too, just from an interesting standpoint, like now that we've sort of like have a different take on the captain, a different take on the first officer isn't that bad either.
True. I mean, the point is that it needs to be someone who is capable, confident, and reliable, and completely dependable.
Would his rock pecs ever start flexing? like they do in the Old Spice commercials.
I feel like they would have to.
I mean, that's one for the win column.
Yeah. They would have to say that his tectonic plates are moving.
Yeah. He felt a tectonic shift. Ooh, this is tough.
Yeah.
I like them both.
I do too.
I mean, this is your show at the end of the day.
Yeah, but like, whatever. Which would be sadder to see murdered by Michelle Rodriguez? Terry Crews or, say your name again?
Brendan Gleeson?
Because the thing is, I really like Brendan Gleeson.
I mean, how did you feel when you found out that he had been murdered?
I was devastated.
Right?
It's the saddest part of In Bruges.
It is very terrible. The things that he does for his friend, and then he just...
Yeah.
Goes. It's gone. But I mean, also, I would be absolutely torn asunder if I turned on the internet the other day and Terry Crews was no longer with us.
Right?
Terry Crews, please
Terry
be
Crews,
okay.
we need you to be around forever.
We need you to run for president.
50-year-old Terry Crews, we need you to be around forever.
Forever. 50 years old? Really?
Yeah, he might be 42.
I ran into him on an airplane once. Airplanes make big people look even bigger. That man's very large and very nice.
Terry Crews is 51.
It would also be upsetting that Terry Crews was betrayed by his crews. On a cruise.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think both are incredible
Both are great.
choices.
I feel like we need to go with your guy, though. Say his name again. I don't know why this doesn't
Brendan
stick.
Gleeson, Domhnall Gleeson's dad.
Is that true?
Yeah, I believe it is. Listen, people can't see me, but I have glasses, and if you speak with authority and wear glasses, people tend to just go with it, so I could also be full of shit.
His sons are Domhnall Gleeson?
Yep.
Domhnall?
Admiral Hux.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brian Gleeson, Fergus Gleeson, and Rory Gleeson. He has 4 sons.
4 whole sons that will be very sad when he dies on this adventure.
Oh, he's gonna.
That's what drives Admiral Hux to join the First Order, is that his father, Captain Arrow, was shoved into a black hole by some rebel scum.
Yeah, someone who is both fast and furious.
All the time.
With machetes for hands.
God, she would have machetes for hands. It's true. It's true.
All right, Brendan Gleeson. So that means that we've got our 2 kind of comedic... Oh no, we only have 1 person left as far as I know.
As far as on my list, it's just Ben.
Yeah, that's all I've got.
And I do have 2 options that you've already seen.
I've seen them, so why don't you tell me
But there was
about
also
your
a
2
third.
options?
Because I didn't realize that you've been watching...
Tell me about your 2 options.
So we have John Mulaney.
Which is a very good option.
Who's very, as a robot, would be really interesting to see his take on. He's got a very...
I've legitimately, on this show, cast him as a robot before.
Really? Which robot?
The computer in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Oh, Marvin?
No.
Oh.
The ship computer.
The ship's computer. The ship. I like it.
I'm so glad to be helping you out today.
I'd also, if we're just going to go with computers, let's just make him the computer in War Games. Would you like to play a game? Maybe if you don't want to play a game. That's totally
it's
cool,
all right.
too.
I mean, I get that you're busy. Whatever.
My other choice is Ben Schwartz.
Yes. Ben Schwartz is also good. Ben Schwartz is a different take.
It is, but also, it is broad, but also he can, come in for these little moments. That are hey, are we supposed to be quiet while we're sneaking on this ship? I don't know.
That's true.
He plays loud and quiet both hilariously.
And he definitely has that whole ineptitude thing going for him.
The other thing is also this is probably going to be a Disney movie.
Yes.
And their good luck charm when it comes to animated movies, which this would be partially, is Alan Tudyk.
That's true. Ooh. Yeah.
Alan Tudyk was, once you'd been talking about Doom Patrol, I was I was considering Alan Tudyk. He's played a robot before.
That's true.
In iRobot, and he was very good. Very.
In iRobot, he played a robot?
Was it iRobot? No. I'm sorry. Which one is it? It's the Will. There were so many robot movies. At that time period, it's
the Will Smith one is AI.
No,
you're right. It is iRobot.
That's iRobot. You made me think that it was AI for a second.
And I think it's hilarious that that's the robot you went with that Alan Tudyk plays.
I guess there are more robots that Alan Tudyk plays.
There's a really big recent one.
There is, but K2SO is a little bit sadistic.
Go. Yeah, but that's the Alan Tudyk robot.
True. So he's played 2 robots. If we want to give someone else
sadistic very well. I would be much more drawn to Ben Schwartz. Of your 3, I would pick Ben Schwartz over all of them. I mean, it also helps that he's very similar to my choice.
I was just watching Alan Tudyk chew up the room though when he was playing Mr. Nobody, and I was just that's also kind of
so
what
good.
Who played? I can't remember who plays Ben in the animated Treasure Planet. It's is it Martin Short?
Yes, sorry, it's Martin Short.
And he's a big scene chewer, too. He's just going huge.
He really is.
And I'm just thinking, that Mr. Nobody energy could be very interesting. But I think Ben Schwartz is, a great update.
I agree with that. I think that Ben Schwartz would be a really good choice, but is he better than Jay Baruchel?
Jay Baruchel could also be cool. I haven't seen Jay in a while.
Yeah.
What's he been doing?
How to Train Your Dragon, mostly.
It would be nice to get him back out in the worord a little bit.
And then he was on that Man Seeking Woman.
Yeah.
Which was a weird show.
I loved the commercials for it. Never actually watched it.
He's in Goon. Jay Baruchel is also older than he looks.
I get that. He was
like in Goon, This Is the End, Tropic Thunder.
Yeah. But I also don't see him a ton, so I don't see him actually age. He just sort of comes out like the Prairie Dog or whatever at... Nope. What is that thing that comes out and tells you if it's winter or not?
There's a whole movie about it. Bill Murray's
it's a groundhog.
Yes.
But yeah, you see it every once in a while.
If you want to know more about groundhogs, tune into the Groundhog's Day episode of Ideal Remake.
The Groundhog's Day episode?
And now, back to the show. Yeah, so I did an episode about remaking Groundhog's Day.
Okay. I thought there was only one groundhog in Groundhog's Day.
That's true. Remaking Groundhog Day.
There we go.
Yeah.
See, I can be snarky too.
Yeah, and you're definitely right, and I kept doing that during the thing.
I gave you so many off-ramps.
And I appreciated it. I just drove right past them.
Baruchel's a good choice. I'd like to fight for Ben, because he's also named Ben.
That's true.
Like, it's almost like he was destined to play him.
For that alone, I would lean towards Ben Schwartz. Mm-hmm. Again, because of the... I feel like Ben Schwartz is... I feel like he could very easily be like the next Ryan Reynolds, like, just does all this crazy voiceover stuff and just all these wild characters. Mm-hmm.
He's doing really good work on DuckTales right now,
and
actually.
I also know that he enjoys movies that take place in space.
Really? Okay.
And I know that because I went to a random... Like, when Guardians of the Galaxy came out, I went to a screening of it at the ArcLight in Hollywood. Mm-hmm. And just randomly, Ben Schwartz sat next to me.
Yeah.
And it just, like, was one of those things where, like... And, like, we were at the, like, kind of talked briefly, like, was that a dog in the... Is that dog a character in Marvel? I don't know. What do you think? I don't know. I just think it was the first dog sent into space. Yeah, that's what I thought. Weird.
Oh, Cosmo? Cosmo's a thing.
Okay, I believe you.
Glasses.
Yeah. Said it confidently. Mm-hmm. And then, like, as I was leaving, my friend and I kind of turned to each other and were like, that was Ben Schwartz, right? Yeah, I know. That was weird. I don't know. We watched a movie with Ben Schwartz, I guess.
Okay. So he likes to be in space?
He likes space movies.
Good to know. A lot of this movie takes place in space.
It does.
His portion's less so. It's mostly on a planet full of treasure.
But he is a character with a lot of experience of being in space.
Who would probably be in the flashbacky scenes or whatever with Captain Flint.
He's literally a compass.
He is. It's built in.
Yes. So I think we should go with Ben Schwartz.
Okay. Let me tell you, though, Jay Baruchel, I mean, I love the guy. Love to see more of him.
The nice thing for this episode is that neither of us has brought in a bad choice yet.
No, I think they're all winners.
And they're all kind of like palette swaps of each other.
A little bit.
A little bit.
A little bit.
Sometimes not, but like sometimes yes. That brings us to writer and director. Okay. Now, I have a separate writer and a separate director. Did you have a writer-director?
I didn't think of one, but I can be thinking of one. I think it'd be a really good... Have you seen Star Trek Beyond? The latest Star Trek Abrams movie?
I did.
Simon Pegg did a really good job on that script.
He did.
I thought. He and his writing partner, whose name I'm completely blanking on.
I have a different writer, one that you probably haven't heard of, but also one of the tribe. He is working on the new... He's doing a lot of like adaptations. Uh-huh. And obviously, I think that this person would need to work with Ron Clements and John Musker. Sure. And like... Because I think they need to be involved. This is their baby. Mm-hmm. But as long as we're talking like... The guy who does adaptations, he's done The New Addams Family. Mm-hmm. He's doing something called Scoob, which is like Scooby-Doo. Okay. He's doing the new Jetsons. He's doing the new Short Circuit. So he's in kind of the sci-fi remake world.
Those are things I haven't seen yet.
Neither
but they sound promising.
But let me pull up some things Matt Lieberman has done.
Okay.
Also, I will point out that he has glasses.
He does. He probably speaks confidently, too.
Like, a lot of his things are in production. Like, he's a dude,
he's having a moment.
He's definitely on the rise. Like, all the things... Like, he literally has a grand total of 4 things that have actually come out. Mm-hmm. Which are Cosmic Voyage from 1996, Tales from the Mist Inside the Fog, 2002, Dr. Dolittle, Tale to the Chief, mm-hmm. and The Christmas Chronicles. Okay. Which was the... What's this guy's name? Why can't I think of his name? Why can't I think of your name? Villain from second Guardians of the Galaxy movie?
Villain from second Guardians of the Galaxy movie. You mean Kurt Russell?
Thank you. It's Kurt Russell as Santa.
Oh, yeah. That movie was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That had a very Disney Channel original movie vibe to it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And so, this guy feels like he was, like, in production and working, like, around Hollywood for a really long time, and only now has he just been like, you know, I've been a writer this whole time. I should be doing writing things. So the movies that he has in production, right, like, Addams Family, that, and he's working on something called Zombie Brother, Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, so he's in the Disney family.
Okay.
Meet the Machines, and something called Giant Monster Attack Japan, with an exclamation point at the end.
I think we can do a better title than that, but okay.
If there's something called Giant Monster Attack Japan, I'm going to watch it.
That's fair.
Am I wrong?
No, you're right. You're right. I would also, it just hit me, another potential writing option would be Joe Cornish, who did, he's a writer on The Adventures of Tintin.
Yeah.
He wrote and directed Attack the Block.
He's certainly come up on this before.
And then most recently, The Kid Would Be King. He has this great, like, kind of like young people adventure sort of like vibe to all his stuff, which is really interesting.
I like it. Like I said, I've used him before. I do like finding kind of people who are like on the rise and like are about to be discovered, and that's why I would lean towards Matt Lieberman.
Absolutely.
Especially because I don't want someone who kind of is coming in with like, this is my grand creative vision. I want someone who will work with Ron Clements and John Musker, and that sort of feels like who Matt Lieberman is.
I would say, a new writer or a journeyman writer who doesn't like have a lot of skin in like proving themselves would work. So I mean, hey, I'm very excited to see this remake that Matt Lieberman's going to write with Musker and Clements.
Absolutely. Which brings us to director.
Those guys. It's them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I felt like needed to happen.
I mean, they love it so much.
Yeah.
And they really earned a shot at, like, doing it again. And also, again, they're great animators. I'd love to see what they do live action-wise with digital CG stuff. I mean, they were already on their way to doing it, basically, with Treasure Planet.
Right? They're currently in pre-production on The Little Mermaid. So a live... I mean, because they did the original...
Are they directing it or are they consulting?
They're writing it.
Okay.
Or at least... I'm on Ron Clements' IMDb page, and he's certainly marked as the writer. What is John Musker doing? The same. So they're co-writing the new live-action Little Mermaid, which makes sense because they did The Little Mermaid. I have a funny... Well, not funny. I have what I think is an interesting Musker and Clements story. I work with Disney a lot on like their marketing side, and I remember going into a meeting for Moana once, and... they were in there, but I didn't know who they were. I just knew that they were these two older guys who were like really smart, like really on point, and had a lot of great things to say and were really supportive about the stuff that we were bringing to the table. And then after they left, I turned around and there was a bunch of like writing on the wall, and it was like Aladdin and Jasmine and Kiva, but it was all in different handwriting. And I'm like, what's that? And it's like, oh, Musker and Clements, they like writing their characters' names in their own handwriting of the characters to kind of like get in the zone. And I was like, wait, are you telling me that like that was Musker and Clement, the guys that did Atlantis and Lost in the what? All the people that did all the amazing movies? The people who defined my childhood? Yeah, the Aladdin and the Little Mermaid and all, and that was that. And I'm glad that I hadn't known that when I was in the meeting. Otherwise, that would have been a lot of information up top. But I thought it was a really cool way of like getting into a character's head was just, right there, sign their name. Yeah, I think that is a cool idea. It was neat. Yeah. Anyway. I like it. A non sequitur. I'm just now jealous that you've gotten to almost meet these people. Does it count as meeting them if you've met them but you didn't know who they were? That's why I'm saying almost meet. Okay. Fair enough. Like you've met them, but then next time you see them, you'll meet them for real. Yes, they'll know. Yeah. I do that sometimes with celebrities where I'm like, I don't want to meet them now. I want to meet them when I can actually meet them. Yeah. Like as equals. But I agree. It needs to be directed by Clements and Musker. Mm-hmm. Totally. But that's kind of it. That's all we need. That's all we have. Those are all the big players, really. Unless you want to cast the two robot cops, would be the only other thing I could think of that keep bringing Jim in from the cold. But that could pretty much be anybody. Huh. That could be Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. I mean, I literally was just thinking that. But what's a good comedy duo that we don't see as much anymore? Laurel and Hardy, mostly because they're dead. Yeah, it's a shame. Let's get those guys in here. A good comedy duo. Those are the guys. I was thinking Tenacious D. Oh, absolutely. Let's make it Jack Black and Kyle Gass. Yeah. Done. What's his last name? Kyle Gass? No, Jax. Black. Oh, weird. Did you hear he's been hanging out with Jack White, and so now they're going to form Jack Gray? Jack Gray. I did hear that, and it makes me happy. All right. So, let me do a rundown of our cast for Treasure Planet, the live-action remake. Okay. Jane Hawkins will be played by Zendaya. Sarah Hawkins will be Juliette Lewis. Dr. Doppler will be John Oliver. Long John Silver will be John Goodman. Scroop will be Michelle Rodriguez. Captain Nathaniel Flint will be Ben Mendelsohn. Captain Amelia will be Tessa Thompson. Mr. Arrow is Brendan Gleeson. Ben will be Ben Schwartz. Morph is Satomi Kurogi. All of this will be rewritten by Ron Clements, John Musker, with help from Matt Lieberman, and directed by Ron Clements and John Musker. And then our RoboCops will be Jack Black and Kyle Gass. Why not? RoboCops. In space. In space. Space. Awesome. Would you go see this movie? Absolutely. I've already seen it. I mean, let me tell you, it's great. Yeah. It is. If there's people who've listened to this episode and gotten this far and haven't watched Treasure Planet,
please go out and watch
do
the
yourself
Treasure
a
Planet.
favor. It's amazing.
It doesn't need to be remade. It should, but the original is very, very good.
Yeah. I want this remake to happen, because I'd love to get credit for it because we're really good, but also to kind of pull more people towards the original because it's so amazing.
Mm-hmm. It's real inspiration too when you look at like how it was made. There was so much love, so much care. The attention to detail, the 70-30 rule, I thought was really interesting in terms of like 70% Victorian era, 30% sci-fi. How that like bled through like every aspect of production.
It's so good. It's such a smart, well-made movie.
It's very practical.
Deserves more attention.
Absolutely. No arguments from me.
All right. Matthew, what would you like to promote? What would you like people to follow you on for social media? What are things that you want people to do now that they've gotten to know you?
Well, you can find me on Facebook, pretty much, whenever.
Want them to find you on Facebook?
If they want to play some board games or talk Treasure Planet, I'm there.
All right, cool.
I do have a Twitter account, but I never tweet on it. I believe it's... Let me look it up, actually. That's how little I tweet on it. You can also find me there. I'm pretty sure it's Dr. Nowhere, but I want to just double-check that before I put that out into the Twitterverse and then have to apologize to the actual Dr. Nowhere. Yep, Dr. Nowhere. Dr. Knowhere.
Great. That's good for me to know because I'm going to have to tag you when I release this episode.
Fantastic.
Instagram, no?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram. I believe that's Pungent Master on Instagram.
Pungent Master.
Yeah, it's like Dungeon Master, but with more puns. Which, if you knew me, would make all of the sense in the universe.
I love it.
But yeah, other than that, I'm around. Stay tuned. Big announcements might be coming down the pipeline eventually. Who knows?
It's a mystery.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. If you want to find out more about me, I'm at Sam Gasch on Twitter, SamGasch, and the podcast is at Ideal Remake on both Twitter and Instagram, or join us on Facebook at Ideal Remake or Ideal Remake Podcast. And if you could leave a 5-star review, that would be swell, but more so, I would love it if you told one person in your life about Ideal Remake that you think would enjoy this episode or any episode. This is episode 52, I think, so there's got to be something that someone in your life would enjoy.
And maybe that's the true treasure on Treasure Planet.
Yeah. The podcasts you made along the way.
And 5 stars. Mostly the 5 stars.
Mostly the 5 stars. Honestly, that would be huge
so
for
many
me.
stars.
Please help me. Anyway, thanks for being a guest on this episode. So what I've been doing recently is ending with this. What's your favorite quote from this movie? Because what's weird is I really like this movie, but it's not that quotable.
There. Poetry.
Love it.